Hey everyone, welcome back to XVolt Extras, and I'm going to be talking about minidv cameras, which is actually what I'm filming on right now, just for the purpose of this video. Now, I've been seeing a lot of videos recently, and I have in the past, of a lot of people talking about the best way to get into the whole tape recording scene, kind of doing what I'm doing here, where you take an old camcorder, get it working, and you just film shit with it. I have my own opinions about this whole movement that's been going on recently, which admittedly is kind of what got me into doing all this, but it's actually not what really got me into it. To be completely honest and forthright, what got me into this whole tape business, I guess so to say, and me filming a bunch of tape stuff, was the fact that back in 2022, over 2.5 years ago now, I began converting all of my family's old VHS, minidv, and high 8 tapes over to digital formats, so it is much easier to watch, and so that it could just be accessed from a computer without needing the tape, as a digital backup. And by doing this, I actually was able to do all of that using this very camcorder I'm recording on, plus VCRs and other equipment. Now, all of that got me really interested in recording in this format. Now, it's not because of the whole thing that people of my generation like to use, of the whole aesthetic or the whole vibe or something. And I know some people agree with me on that because it reminds them of the good old days, or whatever the hell dumb excuse they have. Because to be honest, sometimes it isn't the great using these Sometimes it isn't the best using these cameras, because these are old cameras. This one I'm filming on is from 2002. It is almost 23 years old. It's making a weird noise as I'm recording right now, and it's a stupid bug. Yeah. But the reason that I actually like to use a lot of these is because it is just really easy for me to use compared to modern cameras. And I've had this argument with myself many times over the last couple of years on whether I like actually filming with newer camcorders that just take on an SD card or tape-based cameras, because I already ruled out filming long-form videos with my phone, because holding it like this is really stupid, and I don't like doing that. I like holding a camcorder, so no matter what, I was already in the camcorder game. It was just choosing flash storage versus magnetic tape. And I keep switching back and forth between the two because I can't always fully decide what I want to do. Because I'll have my periods where I go back into tape filming and it looks good, but then I run into issues with filming on tape and then I go back to SD card. So, not the easiest thing, and a lot of people don't consider how difficult it is to get into this whole thing. And the only reason I continue is because I am an enthusiast about this stuff and I like using this stuff. And it's not for any particular aesthetic purpose. It's just much easier for me to work with. And the footage, I stick with this 4x3 480p format, not even just because it's the whole classic YouTube thing. Like if I'm filming a YouTube video in 2006, mainly it's because I just like it that way, and I prefer to make things this way sometimes because I just like it. I don't have any specific reason. It feels good for me, and it's not even that I grew up on this format. I grew up mainly in the early 2010s when most of this had already kind of faded out, so I don't really have much growing up with this format at all. So it's not nostalgia by any means, which is very overused, might I add, but that's a topic for another time. But the reason I like to use all this is just because the whole process of doing things is more complex than just an SD card camera. Of course, an SD card camera, the SD card's in there, flip it open, hit record for however as long as you want. You can upgrade storage if you want, and then you pop it into your laptop or your PC, or you use an adapter for it, and you just copy it straight on, and it's super fast, and you're good. Doesn't take that much time. With the tape, you have to order the tapes off of eBay or something like that. You got to load the tapes in the camera. You have to keep the video head clean. You might have to run maintenance or get it repaired if the tape deck isn't working properly, because most of this technology is 20 years old and it's not going to be working properly. And then you gotta hope that the video comes out well, because it can glitch at times if it's just, not going correctly. And plus, these camcorders, because of a lot of people, not even just in my age group, and some of the slightly older age groups as well, getting back into this whole thing and wanting to record on this, artificially just raising the prices of these camcorders, making it really hard to even just buy parts and stuff for these cameras to fix. So you always have to take them to a specialized repair center or whatever, which can be pretty expensive. For example, this Sony Handycam, which I got at the thrift store last week, I got this for $30. Good price for a camcorder of this age, because these sell for way more on eBay. The thing is, the tape deck needs replacing, and I already got a quote for $118 to fix this. I don't even know if I'm going to consider doing it. But also, I had an argument about... So, earlier this year, back in April, I was having this conversation with myself over, sticking with an SD card-based camera or going back to minidv, or even just high 8, because I got into this because I already had a Video 8 camcorder. All I needed was a battery and tapes. That's what I did, and I started doing all that back in January 2023. So I've been using this stuff for about 2 years now to actually film stuff, and 2.5 just with general experience with this kind of stuff. And based on my own experience, I much more enjoy filming with older camcorders than newer ones, because not only does it feel like I'm not filming for the internet, which is a dumb thing, but that's the way it works in my mind, and insult me all you want if you don't agree with me, because of course this is just from my perspective. You can disagree, I don't mind, but for me, filming with this has given a much more homely experience. It's a more personal experience than filming with the newer camcorder with better quality or with my phone. I've filmed so many experiences with friends and with family on these cameras, and regardless of the quality, I still enjoy the experiences that happen with them. And I was even having this conversation during Christmas a couple days ago with family members, and how my grandfather, in fact, would always bring a camcorder around, and he'd capture a lot of my parents and their cousins' lives on camera, and even my own life. Much of it was captured on minidv for the first 9 years of my life. And they really brought up a good point, how because there's always someone filming back in the day, you get a lot of these precious memories that are captured on video when usually people are not constantly out there on their phones. Because honestly, doing this all the time makes you kind of look like a douchebag, in my opinion. And phone recording, I think recording on a phone should only really be done if you need to pull it out real quick to get a quick video, or if you don't have an actual camera on hand, because everyone is just used to doing that now, since the smartphone became big about 10-15 years ago. But it was that conversation with my family a couple of days ago that really made me think about this way more, and to actually want to start doing this more often, rather than, and maybe even just filming YouTube videos like this from now on. But I might not even do that. It's just still a thought in the back of my mind, but I might not bother given the amount of money I'd have to dedicate to that. So I will keep using the camcorder that I bought for YouTube more recently, for YouTube, But for more personal videos, I'm gonna be using something like this, probably for whoever knows how long, and who knows if I'll end up, contradicting myself again in 6 months, or maybe even 3 months. I might run into an issue in a month from now and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. So that's kind of most of my reasoning, and my family did bring up that really good point, that with camcorders like this, it's just always rolling. You're getting all the good moments, stuff that phones somehow can't capture, despite the fact that their phone's right there in your pocket. But, because you have to pull out the phone, and of course it's all segmented, and I like everything being continuous on a tape, and it just is a lot nicer. And having a physical form of media, I'm very much a physical media guy now. I've got CD collections and stuff, because I like having something physical in my hand, and it's mostly just a preference of mine. It isn't, again, that whole movement like I'm doing with the camcorders. It's not like I'm shifting back to the 2000s because the 2020s suck. I love the 2020s despite the continuous historical events which has been going on for the past millennia of human history, and in fact we are in the best decade of humanity. But most people don't think about that because all people do is they doom scroll on the news and see all the bad shit and they're like, oh no, the 2020 suck, when it really doesn't. I love 2020 tech. It's better than ever. Sure, it may be capping out, but it's good. Things are really good in a lot of places, and I'm really happy for that. And as much as sometimes my Zoomer brain wants to be like, oh, I miss 2011 or I miss 2006, I wish I was older then, I still love living in the current day because there's so much of my personality that I wouldn't be if I wasn't living in the current time. And I very much enjoy the present, and it's something like this which helps me keep that present, and it helps me, capture what I actually want to live in, the present. And I very much also was learning that lesson back when I went to the Dominican Republic and I had no phone there. I went there for a service trip of sorts, and I lived in the moment. I was doing my thing. I wasn't thinking that much about the future. I wasn't emanating too much on the past. I was doing my thing there, and even though I had a camera, I was just focused on capturing a little bit at a time. And that's what I think more people should do nowadays, but of course it's not going to be easy. But hey, to each their own. That's the way I choose to live my life. That's the way I hope to continue living my life, and I will capture my present in this form, which I believe, for me, is the best way that I can, that phones simply just cannot grasp onto. Continue filming on phones if you want, continue filming any way you want. That is just my personal opinion that nobody asked for. Thank you for not watching all the way to the end, and goodbye.